Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Samar from the Naqabi Diaries, and I'm reading this book, The Ideal Muslimah, linked to the PDF version in the description box, inshallah. This section is entitled, She Does Not Interfere in That Which Does Not Concern Her. And it says here, the true Muslim woman is wise and discerning. She does not interfere in that which does not concern her, nor does she concern herself with the private lives of the women around her. And subhanAllah, there's so much benefit to this, multiple fold. So from the perspective of the ones who, asking others questions. For example, we have a lot of the time when somebody gets married and maybe they've been married for a year or so and they don't have a child yet. People will be like, oh, why don't you have any kids, or don't you want to have children, and start asking these kind of questions. And subhanAllah, this can be very discouraging to somebody who maybe really wants a child but they haven't fallen pregnant yet. And what business is it of anybody else's if that person has a child or not? So this is something I see often in the Muslim community. Or as well, another example is even sisters who may not be married, for example, or there's so many other things. But sometimes people feel that it's their right to ask these kind of questions about somebody's private matters, and really this is not the way of the Muslims. SubhanAllah, we should be interested in our own issues, and this is not to say we don't care about others and their problems that they may be having, but let that person come to you and talk to you about it if they need help, for example. But it shouldn't be you that goes and digs into that person's affairs. And sometimes, subhanAllah, some people can make you feel almost like you're on trial when you meet them. From they give you the salam afterwards, it's like one question after the next, subhanAllah. And from the other side as well, this is a way that we can actually protect ourselves. If we are people that stay out of other people's business, inshallah, we should be able to avoid being, seen as interfering, and maybe people who have even contributed to manipulating other sisters, for example, or causing problems in their marriages. Because sometimes in the case of a sister who may not be married, for example, and she has a friend who is married, or she knows another sister who's married, and maybe that sister's having marital problems. Sometimes if there's too much going back and forth, you could end up getting blamed for giving somebody advice, and that's even with the sincerest of intentions. SubhanAllah, this does happen sometimes. So even without trying to be in somebody's business, just the fact that you are associated with that person, or somebody's associated with you, if they're having problems, you could end up being blamed for it. So it's important to protect yourself as much as possible, and try to stay out of other people's affairs, because some people will try to pull you into their affairs as well, and out of maybe the goodness of your own heart and trying to do good and help another Muslim, you give or offer some advice, or you try to help the person, but that could put you into problems. So we have to try to be wise with this as well, as much as possible, because obviously there will be cases where we do need to help, and maybe we need to actually involve somebody else that is more responsible, that can actually like one of the leaders in the community, for example, if there's an extreme case where there is serious help needed. So this isn't just a case of definitely don't get involved in other people's things, but it means that you shouldn't seek it out, because every Muslim should have a mission for their own life and should be focused on their life's purpose, which is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And according to the gifts and the talents that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with, you should be trying your best as much as possible to use those gifts in a way to serve Him as much as possible, and be focused on that and improving yourself as an individual, rather than worrying about the private affairs of others. Inshallah, you benefited. Anything that I've said which is correct is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and anything that I've said which is incorrect is from myself, and Allah knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.